Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Blue Box Banter, a Doctor Who recap podcast done by two ex-Doctor Who addicts now revisiting their nostalgic obsession. On this week's episode, we cover both Aliens of London and World War III. Join us as we look back on the first two-parter of Season 1, where the Doctor first meets the Slitheen family, and the first encounter with Harriet Jones MP. Be warned, we will get into the weeds on how bonkers the ending is, and the farts. Just so many farts.
This season is definitely my most rewatched season because, between me showing Doctor Who to other people and obviously always starting with it, and, every time I go to rewatch it, I'll rewatch this season, and then, I usually tap out, unless I'm rewatching Doctor Who, I usually will tap out before 11, so I just have consistently rewatched this season so many times, so I just, know all of these episodes, it's in my brain, and so I always think about, when I think of Doctor Who, I know, the typical thing to go for is, the Daleks and the Cybermen, but the Cybermen aren't in this season, so I always think of the Slitheen.
Yeah.
Which is so silly, because they're not mainstays of any kind.
They're not even that scary.
They're not. I think they come back in the Sarah Jane Adventures, if I remember correctly. I think, okay, I may be completely wrong, I'll have to look this up, but I think in the Sarah Jane Adventures, they've, refined the technology so they're not just in big people anymore. They can, go into, smaller people. I think that might be a plot point, but I don't fully remember. It's the, so they come back to, this is when, the Doctor brings Rose back, and he thinks it's been a year, and he thinks it's been 12 hours. Oh my god, this part actually, is really upsetting.
This episode, the first, or both of these episodes are so funny, but it starts at such a dark moment, because he shows up, he's like, alright, go see your mom, whatever,
It's
and
been
then
12
he
hours.
sees the missing poster, he's like, oh no!
Yeah.
Also, we have to start this off because it's the first thing. This is the second Bad Wolf mention.
Yes, it is.
Because they land, and then I think he sees the poster, and then you look over, and the kid's spray painting Bad Wolf, and you're like,
oh! And then later they spray painted onto the TARDIS.
Yeah. That's what he was spray painting onto the TARDIS.
Yeah. But there's posters behind the TARDIS that say Bad Wolf.
Are there?
I think so.
I didn't notice that.
I know in a later episode there definitely is. I think it is in this one too. The wall that it materializes in front of, I think, has posters behind it that says Bad Wolf.
I'll have to rewatch it. Because all I noticed was the spray paint. So man, that's gonna be so hard to get out.
The Bad Wolf spray painted TARDIS is iconic, right? There's anytime something happens to the TARDIS, it's immediately oh. But this is definitely a thing that when you're a kid, it's because the dramatic irony of the scene is that we know that she's been with the Doctor and that she hasn't nothing bad things have happened to her, but we know she's been okay. But when you're an adult rewatching it and
it makes
being
you uncomfortable,
it's so upsetting. You have
now you're putting yourself in Jackie's shoes and Mickey's shoes.
Yes, you have Jackie who's thought that her daughter has been missing for a year.
Not only missing, but she's with a middle-aged man.
But she doesn't know she's with the Doctor at first. She finds out that after Rose comes back. So she doesn't know where she is this entire time.
Then she finds out that she's been hanging out with this middle-aged man, and she's even more upset.
And Rose can't tell her what they've been doing, and the Doctor is exclusively referring to her as his traveling companion. And even the police officer is is this a sexual thing? And they're like, no. And you're like,
meanwhile, Mickey's always the butt of the joke, but he literally is I was a murder suspect.
Yeah.
Stresses me out so much.
It's so upsetting. Mickey isn't by any means my favorite character, but this is definitely the moment where I'm like, God,
especially since he knows what's happening. He knows where she is.
Who's this man? He's my girlfriend left me for this weird middle-aged time traveler, and now, even though I know where she is, if I tell anyone, they won't believe me because I'm gonna sound even more suspicious. And then we find out that Jackie's been making his life a living hell this whole time.
Yeah.
And you're just poor Mickey.
I think they were both right to be upset.
100%.
I kind of almost wish this episode came later, because it feels like, almost like, why would Rose want to keep traveling? Or, like, why would Jackie be totally... Because after she finds out about the TARDIS, she's, like, kind of chill with it, which I would not have been.
I would be even less chill.
I would have been extremely uncomfortable. But that's the other thing, is that Rose is, like, I can't tell you why. Why can't she tell?
Yeah, and, like
Jackie's already off the wall freaking out. I don't think bringing in a time-traveling box would, like, be worse.
And, like, you think about it in context, too, like, this is definitely one of those episodes where, like, I feel like because of the nature of Doctor Who being, like, a silly, goofy show for the most part, it really misses a lot of the implications. Like, Jackie lost her husband to a freak hit-and-run accident, and now her daughter has gone missing. Like, this woman has gone through so much, and then it's just supposed to be like, haha, isn't Jackie crazy? And you're like, no, she's not. It's kind of the, like, how women have emotions kind of jokes, which was very much the 2000s.
Jackie later does fall into the mother-in-law trope.
Big time. Is this she slaps him?
She slaps him, yeah. Which completely justified.
Rightly deserved. Just a full crack across the face. And you're like, you know what, Doctor, that you deserved this one. I hate to break it to you.
Also, Rose literally, this is the episode, it's been like, what, 3 episodes? This is the 4th episode, and she finds out that he's immortal.
Yeah.
Like, he's 900 years old.
Could you imagine, like finding that out?
She knows that he's an alien, but finding out that the buddy you've been traveling with is 900 years old, I'd be like, we needed to talk about this a little bit earlier.
We need to, let's redo this first date, because, like, you didn't fill in a lot of your Tinder profile. The Doctor catfished her. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, he already looks like a middle-aged man, so, like, Rose is like, okay, you're middle-aged, whatever, I'm into it. 900 years old?
It went from the joke of, like, well, it's like the thing about, like, when vampires fall in love with humans. It's like, is it okay that your 900-year-old self is in love with this 22-year-old? Probably not. So this, you have the Doctor who's like, yeah, I look like I'm in my 30s or 40s, and you're 19. And then she finds out that you're, like...
He's, like,
18 times that. Oh my god. I mean, like, she's still into it.
Yeah, she's like... Rose, like, she's a little bit too chill with things.
Here's the thing. She's a 19-year-old.
I know.
I started dating my partner at 19, and he was 24. So, like, at the time, you don't care. It's just like, oh, this person's, like, hot, and, like...
But, like, 24 versus 900?
But, think about TikTok, how many 19-year-olds want to get it on with a middle-aged man, or worse. Come on, DILFs and GILFs are, like, the hot ticket item right now.
So, this episode is also the first, like, human-alien contact episode.
This is such a great, like, silly moment where Rose is like, I know about all this stuff, and I'm the only one.
Yeah. She really got humbled.
Right on cue. And so this, like, UFO comes in and just obliterates Big Ben. And I think the funny thing is right before I started watching Doctor Who, I have a family who lives in England, and we stopped over in London before we went to visit them. And at the time, Big Ben was under construction. And so when I was older and started watching Doctor Who, the timelines almost made sense. I went in 2007, and so this would have been a couple of years after, like, to see the first season. So
how long would it take to fix something like that?
So if it's a year later, and this is actually chronologically, it would have been 2006. So technically, when I went in 2007, it could have been the aliens.
They were covering it up.
Oh.
But it's like first alien contact, and Rose and the Doctor are back at Jackie's apartment with all her friends all of a sudden.
Oh, this is the other thing too, is they get stuck in a traffic jam, and
the
Doctor, like, can't get the TARDIS close enough, so she's like, well, what are we supposed to do? And he's like, do what everyone does, watch on the television. Do you know what I think it is? The reason why all of her friends are there is it probably wasn't common for low-income people to have a television.
It was 2005.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably didn't have TVs, or at least, like, also, when you see an alien on TV for the first time, you're gonna get your buddies together.
It's kind of like how Rose had to go to Mickey's house to use his computer.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's like kind of the thing. Like maybe the people.
Oh my god, this show is so old that
like
we're forgetting the context.
Exactly. So I'm wondering if it was like Jackie has the biggest TV in the apartment block. Let's all go like sit at her thing. And I love how everyone's just like bantering about like local
Jackie
gossip.
Is literally talking about how she got a date, and she's like, "Guess what, guys? I got a date." And meanwhile, the doctor's like watching the TV, like, "There are aliens."
Okay, so this is the funny thing about this scene in particular for me is, and I haven't been able to find it, and it makes me so upset. I've been scouring the internet forever. So when I was younger, I didn't know what crack vids were. So remember how I talked about how I didn't know what fan fiction was?
Yeah.
So I didn't know what crack vids were, but I was still watching them on YouTube. So there's one called Doctor Who the Musical, and it was a crack vid where it was a crack vid. But it was edited really well, and so one of the jokes in this video was the doctor watching like scenes from this crack vid basically, but they edited it so you know how there's the part where he's like struggling with the kid to like who does the channel, so it's edited as if the doctor is watching it on the television, and they use this scene for it, and it's so good. I just need to talk about the ending of this video because I've never been able to find it, and it makes me so angry. The end is he's watching you know the scene in for the 11th Doctor where it's him in the bubble and it cycles through all the regenerations and then he steps through the bubble.
No.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
It's a thing that happens. So basically it's set to changes. This is so vivid in my head, and it flashes through all the regenerations of the Doctor, and then it cuts to 9, and in this scene he because when Mickey comes through the door, the Doctor turns to look at the door, but it's edited, so it's when David Tennant comes in his new uniform as the Doctor during the Christmas special.
Oh my god!
So it's 9 meeting 10 as this video ends and changes outros.
What year did this video come out?
I have no idea, and I've never been able to find it again, and it makes me so upset because I remember this video so vividly. They have with the Sarah Jane and Rose episode is girls just want to have fun. I know this video to a T, and I need to find it because it's my Doctor Who thing, and it makes me so mad that I can't find it. So whenever I watch this episode, that's literally all I can think of from this scene is that video.
I think the scene where that random kid is just sitting on his lap is so
and he's
funny.
Fighting with the remote.
Where did this kid come from?
I love how the 9th Doctor is basically just a grumpy millennial in a lot of ways.
Domestic, despite the fact that he pretends not to be. The fact that he's literally I don't do domestic. Meanwhile, he's letting this kid sit on his lap, just hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I just remember it because I was messaging you, I think, when I was watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I fully thought that they were sitting on beanbag chairs because of how overstuffed their couches were. And I was like, man, that must be nice having a bean... No, they're literally just chairs that are stuffed so full that they look like beanbags.
It's so good. But this is when Mickey comes in, and they're someone owes Mickey an apology.
They literally forgot to tell Mickey that Rose was still alive.
And the only reason he knows is because the Doctor... He sees the TARDIS.
And he's like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and then I love, too, so Rose and Jackie, go aside, and this is one of the, my favorite, physical acting moments from Mickey in this episode, is... he's like, I knew what was going on, and I couldn't tell anybody. And Jackie goes, why couldn't you tell anyone? And Mickey closes the shutters and slams the door. He's like, yeah, why can't you tell them, Rose? Huh? He's just, his physical acting is so much, and it's hilarious. It's during this time, too, when the Doctor takes the TARDIS to go to the pig guy.
Yeah. He goes to the... Is he in Parliament, or is he...
No, it's at a hospital.
Oh, yeah, at a hospital.
So I think this is what happens. The reason Mickey knows that Rose is back is because he sees the Doctor, because the Doctor goes to leave, and is I can't be in there, it's too human. And that's when Starman is just blasting in the background for some reason.
And then, because Mickey sees him leave, and it goes back to Rose. He's like, your boyfriend just left without you.
But the best part is Mickey books it into the TARDIS, and it disappears, and
he slams against the wall.
It's like he had so much momentum he couldn't stop himself. Just the doctor.
Again, with him just
eating shit. This poor man.
So this is also the first episode with Harriet Jones.
Oh my god.
What's her title this episode? It's Harriet
Jones
MP something.
Clydesdale North, something like
Yeah.
that. She like is like a small time like MP, and I you know, the Doctor Who has so many autistic coded characters. She's like, I had an appointment. And they're like, well, things have changed, but I had an appointment.
Yeah.
And she always needs to say her full title and hold up her little badge.
I think her appointment's also, it's for like, something about cottages.
It's for cottage hospitals. So she's trying to get better health care to the smaller parts of the UK. Like,
let's ignore the rest of the stuff that she does.
Yeah,
later.
we haven't gotten to that yet. So for now, we can say that she's a girl boss. But
They kind of butchered her, like, later.
Yeah.
I don't really know why, but
it bums me out that they used her character. Like, they could have used anyone, because she was such a bad bitch in this whole episode. And she was like, I have an appointment.
She literally sees, like, the aliens rip their skin off, and she's hiding in the closet.
We haven't gotten there yet.
I mean, this is, like, I just remembered. So, actually, while people are celebrating the aliens or whatever, there's, like, and Mickey's walking around, the Doctor's walking around, there are people holding signs from their balconies saying, like, welcome aliens.
Did you hear one of them catcall the Doctor?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, someone goes, hey, gorgeous, get back here!
I didn't hear that!
Oh, yeah, someone catcalls the Doctor!
I was too focused on the fact that how quickly did they make these signs?
My favorite is L-O-E-T.
Yeah.
That one's my personal favorite. So the Doctor goes to the hospital where he finds out the alien is being held.
The little pig man.
And he so this is a great like Doctor moment. So he certified Doctor moment. So he lands the TARDIS in like a supply closet, and he exits, and the military's there.
Oh yeah.
And in that moment, someone screams, and immediately he's like, "Let's go, boys!" And they just listen to him.
I mean, he's a very authoritative character. He's got a leather jacket.
He's got Chad energy. He's the what's the step above Alpha?
I don't
Sigma.
know. Sigma?
Yes, that's what it is.
Wait, I think there's like a camera or something like that catches a picture of him or no, the aliens are doing like research about him. Like they're Googling him or whatever, and then the minute they type in the Doctor, everything goes on red alert.
So what happens is, so the Doctor goes to this hospital and sees the little piggy, and it's so sad because
they shoot
the piggy.
And he was scared, but also what are they gonna do with
Well, he said don't shoot.
Yeah.
And it's such a, like, this is honestly, like, one of my favorite, like, acting moments from 9 in this, like, two-parter, is he's holding this, like, dying alien, and he's like, why did you do that? It was scared, and he's so genuine about it, and you're like, aw.
He was just a little piggy man, and you killed him.
So, he talks to, like, the actual, like, doctor there, and he explains that it's like a mermaid, basically, like the old Fiji mermaid, where they basically took a pig, re-scrambled its biology, and then made it crash, and you're just like, the poor piggy.
Also, this plot is so overcomplicated.
Yes.
This whole thing just so that these aliens, who are already in government.
Yes.
Like, they've already been established in government. They have roles of power. They crash a fake alien so that they can get into Parliament.
Okay, so here's we'll get to that in a second. Because this is the part that is why they figure out it's the Doctor. So the Doctor returns with the TARDIS, and because Mickey was like, oh, your boyfriend's gone, Rose, and she goes to where the TARDIS was, because she got the key. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, he wouldn't leave me, and Jackie's like, what's going on? And Rose is like, Mom, go inside!
She's so dramatic about
it. And
it.
she's obviously not, so the TARDIS shows up, and Rose immediately goes into companion mode, which I think is really cute, because she's, like, trying to deal with the fact that her mom just saw the TARDIS, but is also, like, in it with the Doctor, basically. And then this is when Jackie calls the government, and is like, she's with the Doctor, he's got a blue box, he calls it the TARDIS, and that's when all the red alerts go off.
I thought she should have called the government.
Yeah, she narked on the Doctor.
See, none of this would have happened if Rosa just explained what was going on.
Yeah. And so this is why it's so convoluted. And so this is the issue with the Slitheen. So the reason that they needed to make this whole thing happen is because they can only inhabit large people, and only certain parts of Parliament are large people, and the PM was not a large person, so they had to create a situation where the bigger people in the Parliament who happened to be lower level would be in higher level positions. That's why it's so convoluted. Can we talk about the fat phobia of this episode, please?
Can we talk about the farting?
Okay.
Because I feel like that goes hand in hand.
It really does. So, like, the whole thing with the Slitheens is, in order to hide on Earth, they have to, like, skin a human, basically. But because they're such big boys, they can only be in larger people, because, like, the shrinking thing they use can only do so much, I guess. And then, like, in order to, like, make it more comfortable, there's, like, a gas exchange, so that's what they toot a whole lot. And it's just like, dude.
The farting, really, it never gets old.
Except
it does.
Except it gets old immediately.
The only funniest part about the farting, though, is because they're all, like, Parliament people, so they have to be polite.
Yeah,
and they're also
like,
British.
nervous stomach.
But no, like, all the people around them that don't know the context, they just are dealing with these people that won't stop farting, and they're like, well, I'm nice and British, so I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah,
but
they could not have infiltrated the American government. But my favorite part in this episode is, so the general guy is still human, and I don't remember what positions of Parliament they are, but they're not, like, high up enough to
one
be
of them
here.
is, like, foods production or
something.
something.
Like farm or transportation or something like that. But, so they're with the general, and he's like, you're the highest ranking MP in London, because somehow all of them got stuck outside of London. And, he's like, so you have to be the one in charge. So they meet with the general guy, who was the one that dropped off the piggy to the hospital. But this scene is so funny, because they are just, like, cutting a rug, and the general is like, what the fuck's going on here? And the one, they keep farting, and, okay, the lady Slitheen is the best. She is eating this roll. She just goes, I'm shaking my booty, and then farts. And you're like, oh my god, the level of camp in this episode is off the charts.
It almost makes everything else okay, almost.
But I think, like, in terms of a directing choice, if they insist on having the farty aliens, you have to go 110% into it. Otherwise, it's gonna be lame.
That's like that one episode of Merlin.
Oh,
with the farty goblins or something.
Yeah.
Like, that was a good example of an episode you don't want to rewatch, because it just, like, was not funny anymore.
The troll that Uther falls in love with, yeah, and you're just like, okay, we've had enough fart jokes. Can we move on?
Is this show for children?
But this is when you have the zipper on the forehead.
Oh my god, which makes no sense to me, because sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Like,
maybe it's, like, cloaked?
No, because randomly, in one scene, before he pulls it, it's already on his forehead.
Yeah.
Because the other scenes, he, like, when they start to pull on it, it, like, appears, so it makes it seem like it's, like, a cloaked thing.
Yeah.
But then, in other scenes, there's just a zipper on his forehead.
Yeah.
So what's the truth?
They should have all had bangs.
Yeah.
So this was actually a joke that my friend and I had, the one that I watched Doctor Who with as a kid, is if we would be playing, because we were kids, so we would play Doctor Who, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we had this running joke about if we were playing, like, something tag-related, there'd be a joke where one of us would pretend to pull the zipper off, so we would, like, basically go beast mode on each other. Oh, yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
Beast mode?
But, like, so that was, like, a thing, so there was a running joke about if you had bangs, you were hiding the zipper, basically. We never even registered, like, the fact that you had to be big. It was just, haha, bangs equal hide zipper.
I was just looking at my my notes, because it's been a while since I actually watched this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So Harriet Jones literally watches them, like, take off their skin, and she's in the closet, like, throwing up, basically.
Yeah, she starts, like, sobbing.
Yeah, and it's like, the actress for that character is so good.
So, one of the reasons I love her, too, is she goes on to be in Downton Abbey, and she plays an equally as saucy character there, where she's, like, Well, because she comes in as, like, she's the wife of a lawyer, and a lawyer, I think, and her son is the one who's supposed to, like, inherit the abbey, basically, but she comes in as, like, we're the working class rich, like, we made our money, and, like, meanwhile, the people at Downton, she's, like, a good foil to Maggie Smith's character, who's, like, the dowager, like, she's, like, I come from old money, and everything is prim and proper, and these, like, fake nobility, basically, but she's equally as, like, screw the system, I'm, like, you guys are old-fashioned, let's update this place. So, like, I love that her career is basically just being, like, look here, mister.
Yeah. So, the practical effects are really good in this episode.
They are.
Except when they switch to CGI.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
during the chase scene.
Yes, this is definitely... Well, Doctor Who's practical effects have always been pretty good.
I mean, they have to be.
Yeah.
Because CGI is too expensive.
Yeah.
But you have, like, the Slitheen chasing them, like, I think when, like, the Doctor... And, like, when everyone realizes that there's aliens, they're chasing them through the hallways, and, like, you have the person in the suit running, and then it switches to a new hallway, where it's a CGI character.
Because they have to do bigger movements and that.
And it's, like, it looks so off-putting.
It's uncanny, because, like, the prosthetics are already Uncanny Valley, and then the CGI is, like, a level above Uncanny.
You can tell the difference between the prosthetics and the CGI. Yes,
because it moves completely differently. It's
definitely moves so fluid.
Definitely, they're better CGI we've had this season.
But if it was, you either have to do CGI or prosthetics. Like, you can't do both at the same time.
It's a little off-putting. But, so, this is a great moment. So, the Doctor gets arrested. And they're like, and he does the take us to your leader, which I always love when the Doctor does that. But he goes in, and he gets clearance, but Rose doesn't. So she gets taken aside.
She was very insistent that she get clearance too. And she's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then my favorite part is, because it's one of those things where, you know, you talk about, again, like, we as the audience have the context and the characters don't. Harriet Jones is like, just keep walking, don't look around. And Rose is probably like, what in the hell is going on? And then she starts crying, and Rose is like, are you okay?
Her crying was so convincing too that it made me really sad.
You're like, and so she's like trying to explain to Rose that there's aliens, and Rose is like, I believe you. It's like, of all people, I understand, basically. But the Doctor is like in basically the equivalent of these people.
X-Files.
The X-Files. Basically, it's like the X-Files people, like Mulder and Scully would have been there, like. It's Unit. This is the first time we see Unit this series, isn't it?
I think so. It's funny because it's one of those things where the characters are separated and one character knows one thing and the other character... Like, the Doctor knows about the Pigman, the fake Pigman, but Rose knows about the Slitheen now.
Yeah, but they're in... This is such a great, like, silly line, because this is, like, one of those scenes where, again, I'm reminded of the fact that, like, Christopher Eccleston has, like, a pretty prestigious acting background, and he has to say the line, do you mind not farting while I'm saving the world? Favorite thing about Doctor Who is making very, very talented actors say the dumbest shit.
This is before he knows about the Slitheen, right? He's just fully like, why are you farting? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm doing something. And then they're like, actually, and they take their skin off, and he's like, oh yeah, and then they find the Prime Minister in the cabinet.
Yeah!
Which, I don't, is he dead or alive?
He's dead.
So why did they get rid of him?
Because they needed to be able to take over as PM.
I know, but, like, why did they put him in the closet? Why didn't they just, like...
That's the dumb part, yeah. But, yeah, and then the Slitheen try to shock all of Unit, and they kill almost everyone.
This is the cliffhanger for the episode.
Yeah.
Did you see the Doctor getting zapped?
It's one of my... I love watching TV shows where, like, something is revolving around, like, the special effects. So, like, I just love the direction of... Okay, and everyone just, like, shake for a little bit. You're getting electrocuted.
But, okay, the people that they bring in are alien specialists?
Yes,
which is so random, because it's like, these people aren't, like, military. They're just people with blogs, basically, like...
Well, because it's Unit. It's like, it's the government's, alien branch.
It's Unit, but it's also, I think they bring in other alien, like, ufologists. Yeah. It's like... They're not gonna... You didn't have to kill them. They weren't gonna do anything.
No.
The Doctor's, like, getting zapped, but he's able to take it off because he's got doctor skills.
No, he's got 2 hearts.
Yeah,
they're trying to induce cardiac arrest, and he's like, 2 hearts, baby!
It's still a little, like, the science is whatever.
He's got, what do you mean science? He's
No,
got 2 hearts!
I mean, like, they're really stretching it with that. But,
This
so,
is the cliffhanger.
This is the cliffhanger, and then he, like, runs out of the room or whatever. Oh, yeah, no, what happens is, it's one of those things where it's, like, the military comes back in, and the doctor's like, they're the aliens. And they're like, actually, no, he's the alien. I'm, like, an authoritative figure, so
and he's
you
like,
have to trust me. And he's like, oh, you're not gonna believe it, are you?
Yeah, and I love how the military guy just goes, no.
No. You tried. So he gets arrested again.
But he runs off before they can get
and
him.
I think this is when Rose, Harriet Jones, and the doctor, like, converge.
Well, first there's the scene where Harriet and Rose are in, like, that one office, and the Slitheen are like, we're hunting for you.
Oh my god, and they're like, I smell a child. It's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, she says something about, like, well, because they're like, I smell someone young whose bones are still bendy, and then the other one is like, I smell an old head, and Harriet Jones is like, hey!
Like, wait a minute.
Their
You're so mean.
bones are getting squishy. And then
he locks them in the room. He does the thing.
we forgot about the Slitheen that went after Jackie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, Jackie is, like, after she calls in, they send one of the Slitheen out to talk to her, and then it, like, Slitheen's up in her it's Slitheen in time.
Why did he do that?
Because he's gonna kill her.
For why? Because she knows?
Yeah, because she's connected.
I guess. Meanwhile, Mickey and Jackie have a little, like, working together moment.
Yeah,
here.
so when after the doctor gets electrocuted, he, like, throws the electricity ball back onto them, and somehow all of them. So that's how Jackie and Mickey are able to escape at first.
Meanwhile, Mickey takes a second to take a picture with his
awful
flip phone.
Do you notice it's, like, zoomed into literally just its face? I just love the moment of him holding up his phone and being like, and get the picture, and then we go. It's on this shitty flip phone, because you know that picture is 420p.
There's, like, 3 pixels. You can't even tell what it is.
3 pixels of a Slitheen. And then there's this, like, great Scooby-Doo moment of them trying to sneak past the police, and they even have the, like, plunky music in the background.
So silly.
And, yeah, so... this is when the doctor... This is a great moment, too, where the doctor, like, incapacitates them, and Rose just pulls a curtain over one of their heads, and that, like, gives them time to run out.
And this is another moment of the doctor being high intelligence, low wisdom, because he's like, they're outside, they go into, like, the parliament meeting room or whatever, and the Slitheen are outside, and he's like, actually, did you know that this room is barricaded, so all I have to do is press this button, and it'll close all the doors with, like, 5 inches of steel, and he does it, and then Rose is like, so, how are we getting out?
And he just goes,
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Just the,
Yeah.
That's all he says. But I love right before this is he's like, if you guys better stand back, because I'm going to use my sonic screwdriver to triplicate the flammability of this alcohol, and all of us go up in flames. And the Slitheen are like, are
you sure about that? And he's like, oh dang. He really, like, he rolled really low wisdom scores this like, the
Persuasion.
The one part where he's, like, trying to not lie, but, like, talk to the military guy.
Yeah.
And then this part, he's like, he really needs to get good at lying.
He's getting a solid 12 for every role he's getting this episode. But, I think that is this when they say they're the Slitheen? And he's like, what does the Slitheen race want with Earth? And they're like, it's our family name, you dingus.
Yeah. Also, they're from the planet.
We get to that later.
Oh, jeez.
Because this is
yeah, we have other things to talk about.
So, the Slitheen is back at Jackie and Mickey. And there's this kind of sweet moment where Jackie does apologize for making, like, Mickey's life a living hell, and she was like,
they go to his house.
Yeah,
where
and she was like,
has pictures of the TARDIS that he doodled onto napkins.
He does the full, like, red yarn wall, basically.
He literally, like, doodled pictures.
Mm-hmm. So the Slitheen come after them, and I love how Mickey and the doctor are basically on speakerphone right now.
Yeah, this whole scene, what's about to happen makes no sense.
But it's really fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Mickey hacks the government.
We're not there yet.
This is right before he hacks the government.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a minute, because that's in and of itself something absolutely ridiculous. But they get cornered by the Slitheen, and the doctor's trying to figure out how to defeat it. And they're like, give us what we know about it. And I just love how he's basically like flipping through his like Rolodex of aliens in his brain, and they're like, they're green, narrows it down, they're tall, narrows it down, like, and he does that, and then he does the, I know where they're from, Raxacoricofallabatorius. And then Mickey,
the hardest word to say ever.
Mickey and Jackie are like, cool, what do we do with it then? And then the doctor's like, you gotta use basically like vinegar to kill them. So there's basically slugs. But then this is a great line where the doctor's bitchiness comes out, because Rose is like, get all of like your like vinegary stuff. So Jackie starts putting all this stuff in, and she's like, pickled eggs. And the doctor's like, you kiss this man? Kills me. It's so bitchy. And
like,
you're just like,
he didn't even make a joke about like, that's like, ooh, your breath must be, no, he should have was like, you kiss this man.
And I can't tell it, because the thing with Nine is the way that he talks is it's hard to tell if he's sassy gay friend or if he's jealous. Like it's like a bit of both somehow. So it's like, is this judgment of straight people, or is this you kiss him but you don't kiss me?
Yeah. Mickey hacking the government.
Mickey. Okay, so before we get to the hacking of the government, they explode the Slitheen man. Remember they throw all the vinegar on him, and then he screams and then explodes into the
green spaghetti.
It's so nasty.
It's literally spaghetti that has been added to green goop. Really, the best of the props.
It's so funny.
And then, well, actually, no. What I think he's hacking the government while the spaghetti man. I mean, spaghetti man. Before he turns into spaghetti, and it doesn't make any sense, because if you think about it for a second, how did Mickey... The reason Mickey was able to hack the government is because the doctor's like, try 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the password for everything.
The thing that kills me about it specifically is he tells him to go to the government's website, which it implies that...
he's literally just... The government website has built-in secret codes.
It's like going into Webkins, and if you specifically put in like a specific username and password, suddenly you're in the back end of Webkins.
You're in the back rooms of Webkins. That's where Dr. Quack brought all his victims.
Deep Webkins lore.
Not related to anything.
But the thing that I think gets me the hardest is the password is Buffalo. No special spelling, no special characters, no numbers, no nothing. It's a one-word password. That's the only password to get into missile launching.
And the thing is, Mickey is not really explaining what's going on because once he hacks into it, there's like all these random like dials and like maps and stuff and radars. And the doctor's like, okay, do this. And it's like, how does the doctor know what the website looks like?
Because he's used it before.
But like, how does he know specifically exactly what Mickey's looking at? Because it doesn't make any sense.
I guess it's kind of like the thing of like, how do you log into Netflix? And it's like, okay, type in Netflix at the top. And they're like, what top? And you're like, the bar that's at the top. Type in Netflix. You're going to go there. You're going to see a button that says login. And the one at the top right? Yep, the one at the top right. Like, the doctor's basically like grandpaing Mickey through
that scene was making me very
a
frustrated.
missile launch. It's insane.
And this is when we find out the real plan of the thing is that the Slitheen did all of this so that they could get the missile codes, so that they could raise the Earth, so they could sell it to the highest bidder for, like, resources.
Yeah, they're basically trying to, like, oil sands.
Yeah, like, destroy the Earth and then farm it out to the highest bidder. And it's like, why? You couldn't have picked, like, literally any... Mars is right there.
Yeah. No, you have to specifically Earth, because we have the nuclear bombs. Mars doesn't have nuclear bombs. Because the thing is, they specifically need radiation.
Yeah. And
you can't nuke Mars. It's too far away.
I guess. They're like, they're still in this locked box trying to figure out how to save the world. Mm-hmm. So they decide to blow themselves up. And this is the part that I was okay with this episode up until this part when the doctor's like, yeah, we need to launch the missiles at ourselves so we can blow. And like, I know that his whole thing is, like, giving second chances, and he gave the Slitheen a second chance, and then they didn't take it, so he's like, nah, I'm gonna nuke the government.
He doesn't, it's not like a nuke, though, it's just
It's
a
a
regular
missile,
ground
but
missile.
that's still, like, and then, this is, okay, you, it's, like, funny, and then the Doctor drops the line, I could save the world but lose you,
And
to
you're just
Rose, and you're like, and Rose is like, do it, kill me, like,
I yearn for death. Give it to me.
and then Harriet Jones is like, all right. And also, this is around the same time you see them just passing along wine to each other, like a glass of wine.
They're just snifter of whiskey.
They're just like drinking alcohol.
I think it's kind of a funny scene in the sense of like the Doctor is like, I have something that would solve the problem, but it would put Rose in danger, and Jackie's like, don't you fucking dare.
And Rose is like, do it.
Shut up, Mom. I'm a big girl. And and then Harriet is like, as the only active elected member of Parliament in this room, I'm the one who has the final say.
Yeah, she's like,
and is
blow
like,
it up, baby.
Nuke, and like, it will release the missiles.
And then Harriet Jones's great idea is to hide in the closet.
It's Rose's idea.
It's oh my god, it's like,
because the thing is she basically is like, this
how
you survive
this
an
is how you
earthquake.
survive earthquakes.
Technically,
Did they get a lot of earthquakes up there?
No, but you have to be prepared for anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Technically, she's right in the sense of
Yeah.
like, you're supposed to go into a small space. You're actually supposed to get under a doorway normally.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be like the more structurally sound part. But because the reason is the Slitheen, for some reason, call every Slitheen into like the Parliament at that point. Because they're like, we need to we missed the part where they're in the elevator and he's like, I need to be naked. And you're like, me too, dude. I'm honestly surprised that wasn't memed like back in the day when it was like, when you get home and take your bra off after work, and it's like, I need to be naked, and you're just like,
The fact that they survived, though, the entire Parliament blows up, and they're like, we're okay.
Well, they were in the safe room.
They were in the safe room, but it's like they just shot a missile at themselves.
It's not as egregious as the refrigerator nuke from Indiana Jones.
Oh my god.
But it's damn close.
I mean, at least there isn't like, it's literally just an explosion, but I feel like a missile would completely like raise it to the ground. Like there should have been nothing left.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the type of missile and where it was coming from.
Well, wasn't it? It was like an American missile. I'm pretty
No, it was
sure.
a submarine missile.
Submarine missile.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I tried very hard not to think about the missiles and the nukes in the world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it makes me very sad. Like that part in Kunk on Earth.
Oh my god!
When they're talking about the nukes, and she's like, "But there aren't any nukes now," and the guy's like, "There aren't." She's like, "Can we talk about something else?"
This is completely tangential. I fucking love that show.
It's so funny.
So good. I want Philomena in an episode of Doctor Who. I want
her to be a companion.
Not her actress. I mean specifically Kunk.
Yeah.
Needs to be like a special companion, because can you imagine the absolute nonsense she would say to the Doctor? What Doctor would she be able to work with?
11, because I think 11 would think it's hilarious.
The ADHD would like really be down for it, because like 9 would not have the patience for it. I don't think 10 even would either. We know 12 wouldn't. Would 13 be able to handle her? I think she's a goofy girl, but she has a very low tolerance for anyone else's
annoying
goofiness.
people. So okay, and then the episode ends in the most silliest way possible. They survive, and then there's like immediately reporters, and Harriet Jones like comes out of the wreckage, and she's like, "We're safe from the aliens." It's like no one knows what happened.
Yeah.
Like, we have the context because we watched the episode, but no one else understands what's happening, and all of a sudden she's just running out of a blown up Parliament saying we're safe from the aliens.
Yeah. And this is the part where, because the whole episode the Doctor's been like, why do I recognize your name?
Oh,
and this is when he realizes that she's essentially like one of the greatest prime ministers in British history.
Which makes what happens later so much more frustrating, because what happened?
Truly.
Why did they decide? Because they were like, yeah, she's going to be this great prime minister, and then later they use her as like
a
scapegoat for like humanity being bad.
Yeah, which we'll get into it in that episode, because that whole thing is something else, dog. But it is a bit of a bummer because I like Harriet. I thought she was really cool in this episode, and her actress is very talented. But, so she comes out of the rubble and she's like, humanity has prevailed.
Yeah.
Like, her cadence.
She's so dramatic.
She is everything, and he's just Ken. But it's such a fun moment for her. Like, the thing is like, as weird as this two-parter is, I absolutely love this one. Like, minus the farting, I genuinely think this is one of my, like, more fun episodes.
Even, like, even though everything's kind of, like, got a goofy tone to it, like, Jackie and Rose, like, having a talk, especially at the end of this episode, they talk about, and, like, Jackie actually takes an interest in Rose's life, whereas she was kind of dismissive before.
I love the part where she's like, does he eat meatloaf? No, it's a shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
Does he eat shepherd's pie? And Rose is like, probably. And the doctor is so adamantly against having dinner with the mother-in-law. It's so funny. Like,
this is their first little bicker that they have.
Yeah.
About, like, whether or not he wants to have dinner with her mom.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to have dinner with your mom. And she's like, why not? And he's like, because I don't do that.
The joke, this is the episode where she's like, mom's making dinner, or no, mom's cooking, and the doctor's like, oh, put her on a low simmer or something like that.
My mom's cooking. Oh, make sure it's not a low simmer. He's so sassy.
He's such a silly, goofy guy.
But I do love the idea, just because, like, I think one of the things about Doctor Who that always makes me laugh is when you clue into, because, like, it's kind of easy to forget what the Doctor is, I guess, and so just, like, because to us, it's like, oh, it's the Doctor sitting down for dinner, but you're like, this is a 900-and-something-year-old being who has genocided 2 species and has been to the beginning of the universe and the end of it, sitting down to have shepherd's pie with some British family from London, and you're just like,
that he's barely even known Rose for like a week.
Is there, like, well, because that's the thing is, in later episodes they talk about things that we haven't seen.
Yeah,
so
that's what I always wondered. I don't think anything's happened in between. Like, it seems like they're jumping from, maybe, like, between the last episode and this episode, definitely something's happened, because I don't think they went straight from the Unquiet Dead to London, but I don't think it's been that long.
No, well, because, like, in future episodes, even in this season, she's like, oh, we've done this, 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 and this, and it's like, oh, the stuff they didn't have the budget to do.
Yeah, they didn't have enough episodes.
But, and then,
this episode ends kind of sad, because even though Rose and Jackie have kind of reconciled, the doctor's like, yeah, I'm not getting dinner with you, and Rose is like, okay, bye, and she just leaves her mom. She doesn't even say bye.
I do love that this time, because she packed stuff this time.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to figure out what she would have packed, because the doctor has, like, a full closet of anything you could possibly want. So my guess is she didn't bring her toothbrush. So she's got stank breath this whole time.
She probably packed all of her little jean skirts.
Yeah. Okay.
And hoodies.
I don't know if we can
mascara.
I don't know if we can put this in or not. Did there tampons on the TARDIS? Does the doctor provide feminine hygiene products?
I think the doctor provides feminine hygiene products, like in that one spaceship thing where they're like, we're gonna give 100 tampons for whatever.
He doesn't fully understand how humans work.
You need like 5 tampons, right? Like, that'll last you for a week.
Yeah, you're just like, uh-oh.
The doctor hasn't experienced a period in God knows how long. If they even do.
I was gonna say, because that's the question, right? Like, what did she pack? Like, did she bring her Nintendo DS with her?
Probably. Her little pink little Nintendo DS.
She had, like, the original one that was really chunky, but was, like, pink on top.
Or it was, like, kind of shiny.
Yeah, I had the blue one that was like that. Or would the DS even be out yet? Did she have to bring her Game Boy?
The DS came out in 2005, I'm, like, pretty sure. Oh, she probably wouldn't have been able to afford it. I didn't.
She had a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
That's what she had.
An old, busted one.
She had the tribal print a Game Boy.
It came out in 2005 in the EU, and it was $150 American. That is expensive.
Yeah, so she wouldn't have had the DS. She would have had a Game Boy.
A little Game Boy.
I like the idea that she had the one that wasn't even backlit, like the one where you had to buy the separate, like, light to go on top of it. God, we're old. Oh my god.
I remember my sister had a Game Boy Advance, and I was so jealous of it.
So did I. It was my favorite thing, but I only had like really weird games for it. Like I had a Disney Princess game and stuff like that. I just like I love the idea that she like needed to bring some kind of entertainment for like in between trips.
Half of the bag was definitely mascara.
Yeah.
And her hair straightener.
Mascara and
Some
hair dye.
bleach.
Yeah. Like, 'cause she has, like, a giant duffel bag, and she just, like, hoists it on the doctor, and she's like, last time was spur of the moment, this time you're stuck with me. And he's like, I'm down with that. I love the little conversation he has with Mickey right before, though, because...
Oh, yeah, because Mickey, he actually offers Mickey to come with them, and Mickey's like,
Nuh-uh, dog. He's like, the world that you and Rose do, it's so dangerous, and the doctor's like, well, you could come, like, protect her, and Mickey was like, no. I can't do that. But
he fully knows that he is not strong enough.
No, but then when Rose wants him to come, like, the doctor, like, kind of gives Mickey the out.
Because Mickey literally is like, don't tell Rose, I'm too much of a little baby to come with you.
Which is honestly, like,
It's very mature of him.
That's the thing, too, is, like, and then this is also when the doctor is like, take this CD and upload it to the internet and it'll wipe me out. And you're like, you're gonna ruin Clive's legacy! You're gonna ruin Clive's website!
He's already dead.
Yes, but I'm sure his family kept it up posthumously for him.
I'm sure that they didn't.
I want to think that they did. It's such a strange thing that he just... Oh, and this is also when it's like, oh yeah, everyone's already decided that it was a hoax.
Yeah, because Mickey's like, I saw it happen. How does everyone not have, like... Why isn't no one talking about it? And the doctor's like, you humans, you're so quick to push things under the rug. I'm like, we saw the spaceship destroy Big Ben. I'm pretty sure people would still be talking about that a little bit more.
In retaliation. That's happening right now.
But there's no physical alien on Earth that we're seeing.
But literally they were like, aliens are real, and we went, cool, will it help us pay our rent?
If a UFO crashed into the Big Ben... I'm pretty sure it would last at least a week.
So yeah, so it ends with Rose getting back in the TARDIS, and Jackie's like, I'm scared that you're gonna get left on some moon somewhere, which is like very fair. Yeah. And she's like, well, just think about it. It's a time machine. I can be gone for a year, but I'll only be back in like 10 seconds. And then and then the TARDIS whoops away.
And she's counting, and then
she's like, it's 10 seconds, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, and that's when and Mickey kind of looks at her like,
yeah,
this is, you kind of have to get used to that.
I think that's, like, the thing that I like. Maybe that's why I like this two-parter so much, is because even though it has some of the goofiest shit in this season...
It's a good character episode.
It has a very good amount of, like, character-driven moments.
And also, it's not exactly Rose and Doctor's finest moment.
No, it's not.
It's kind of their, like, not their worst episode, but, like, they don't act very well in this episode. They don't make good choices in this episode, which I think is important.
This is a good example of the characters being flawed, and that's something that I think earlier seasons of Doctor Who do a lot better than later seasons.
Yeah, because the Doctor's actually allowed to make mistakes and be kind of a dummy.
Yeah, because, like, Rose, and I know we keep bringing it up, she's literally a kid. Like, that's a thing that I think like, rewatching this season...
She just graduated high school.
Like, literally, is now that I'm older than 19, like, it's easier to, because it's kind of that feeling of, like, you know when you're in 9th grade and you see the 12th graders and you're like, these people are so old and mature, and then you, like, reach grade 12 and you're like, I still am a baby.
I'm a baby.
And, like, even as, like, a 24-year-old, I still see myself as a baby a lot of the time because I'm like, my brain is not developed enough. So I think it's that thing of, like, I can now look back at where I was at 19 and, like, the decisions I was making and things I was feeling and being like, yeah, this is how I would have probably reacted in that moment too. Like, you're just a kid. Like, you would have been in your first year of university, essentially.
I was a scared little baby.
Me too. We just got the right to vote the year prior.
You're 19, you're allowed to buy cigarettes. That's and alcohol.
Yeah, I had...
In Canada.
But yeah, so it's like Rose is kind of being impulsive and, like, she doesn't really know how to, like, handle the situation with her mom.
So she just avoids it.
She just avoids it, which I will say is very, very that.
Teenage of her.
Yeah, the doctor doesn't know how to handle family situations. And so I feel like the doctor is just like the weird boyfriend that when you first start dating, he's like, I don't want to meet the parents in case it gets too serious. Help. So yeah, so that was Aliens of London and
World War
III, which, God, I don't like that title anymore.
It really makes you think of things.
Yes, and don't want that. Let's hope that the World War III just sticks to that episode. But, yeah.
It's gonna be really sad when we do go world. Anyways,
let's not.
The next episode's kind of a banger. It's our first introduction to the Daleks.
It is Dalek. Oh
and
boy.
It's an interesting episode.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that one. Yeah. So that's next time.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Blue Box Banter. You can find us on Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube under the username Blue Box Banter Podcast. New episodes release Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Thanks again for listening, and have a fantastic day.